The Love Song Podcast, a Love Song media production. I'm T Love. I want to welcome you into today's episode. Before we get started, I want to give some love out to my sponsor, Shirts and More, located at 2517 Jacob Street in Wheeling, West Virginia. Shirts and More is a family-owned business, and for over 40 years, they have been providing the best and most professional garments on the market. Let Tracy, Braxton, Dana, or any of the friendly staff at Shirts and More help you with your next apparel need. You can contact them directly at 304-232-2030. Let them know that T-Love sent you, and I guarantee you they'll take care of you. Episode 26, America's Greatest Threat. Washington. If you follow politics, and if you know your history, and you start looking at who is our greatest threat, I don't know that anyone can really deny that Washington is on the top of that list. There may be others there, but Washington is certainly there. Who is the greatest threat to the United States of America? Is it China, Russia, or maybe it's those third world countries our government has told lies about? You know, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Sudan, Syria, Libya, Cuba, and the list just goes on and on. Those are all of those countries that our government says is a threat to us, that we need to go bomb them. We need to, have a regime change, whatever the case may be, right? But what if I were to tell you the greatest threat to America and its citizens is Washington itself? The U.S. government has historically drafted one document, official document, an official proposal to stage attacks on U.S. soil, though it was never executed. That official proposal, that one document that got drafted, was called Operation Northwoods. A series of proposed false flag operations developed by the United States Department of Defense and the Joint Chiefs of Staff in 1962. The plans were famously rejected by President John F. Kennedy. They included the following scenarios: staging fake terrorist attacks and bombings in Washington, Miami, and other U.S. cities, hijacking or shooting down passenger planes to create public outrage, orchestrating fake attacks on U.S. military bases, including the Guantanamo Bay Naval Base. The objective of these proposed attacks was manufactured for the public and international support for a military intervention against the communist government of Cuba. You can read more about the declassified proposals on the National Archives or explore the historical record on Operation Northwoods' Wikipedia page. It's a very interesting read. I encourage you to go read it. Washington has turned more unofficial and nefarious avenues of warfare, like the assassination of JFK, the trove of lies about Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Muslim terrorists, and using the legacy media to promote the lies about the nation's national security is at risk, tells to rally the American public behind patriotism, freedom, and democracy. But the plan devised on January the 6th, 2021 is one that rocked this nation to its core. You see, on January the 6th, 2021, it's famously known as J6. Most of America watched in shock and horror, as I did, as radicals attacked the capital of the United States. The media reported for years that ousted President Donald J. Trump had staged a political coup. His supporters rallied behind him and were trying to stop the peaceful exchange of power between Trump and Biden. The official report that came out sounded like this: The January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol was an insurrection by a mob of Donald Trump supporters attempting to stop Congress from certifying the 2020 presidential election. The violent clash resulted in extensive property damage, 174 police officers injured, and 8 deaths linked to the event and its immediate aftermath. Keep in mind, I just told you that's the official report. The violent clash resulted in extensive property damage, 174 police officers injured, 8 deaths linked to the event and its immediate aftermath. That's the official report. The incitement. On the afternoon of January 6, following the Stop the Steal rally near the White House, where President Trump repeated false claims of election fraud, a crowd marched to the Capitol. The breach. Rioters overwhelmed, outnumbered Capitol Police, breaking through barricades, smashing windows, and forcing lawmakers and Vice President Traitor Mike Pence to evacuate. I'm sorry, Traitor wasn't in there. That was my own opinion. The building was successfully breached, and the certification process was temporarily halted. The casualties and damage from January 6th. Fatalities. Protester Ashley Babbitt was shot and killed by the Capitol Police while attempting to breach the White House chamber. 3 other protesters died from medical emergencies or stampedes during the riot. 5 police officers who responded to the attack died in the following days and months. Injuries and cost. Over 140 law enforcement officers were injured, some sustaining severe and permanent trauma. Property damage to the Capitol building exceeded $2.7 million. The investigation. The riot triggered the largest federal investigation in U.S. history. Led by the Department of Justice, investigators by a bipartisan House Select Committee over 1,500 defendants were charged with crimes ranging from trespassing to seditious conspiracy. Leaders of extremist groups such as the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers received lengthy prison sentences. The political aftermath and pardons. Impeachment. The events led to the second impeachment of Donald Trump for inciting an insurrection, though he was later acquitted by the Senate. And rightfully so, he should have been. Clemency actions. Following his return to office in January 2025, President Trump issued a series of sweeping pardons and commutations to hundreds of individuals convicted of offenses relating to the January 6 Capitol attack. For comprehensive official documentation of the events and the investigation, you can review the January 6 Committee's final report published on GovInfo. I would also recommend you to look at the J6 initial report. It's much, much, much different than the final report. As much as I was sickened by what I was watching, something inside of me was questioning the reality of what I was witnessing play out before my very eyes. Nor could I accept the J6 Committee's report as the optics changed multiple times. I also could not comprehend how roughly 2,500 people thought they could overthrow the United States government. The media wants you to believe that 2,500 people almost took over the most powerful nation in the world, and not a single one of them brought a gun. Yet millions of Americans digested it like it was the gospel. Now, in all of my research, I've found this little nugget in what I believe is the real facts of January 6th. In October of 2020, Bernie Sanders tells Jimmy Fallon on video that Trump will be winning the 2020 election very handedly until they stop the counting because of the ballot load. Everyone is going to go to bed, and when they wake up, Biden will have won. Wisconsin, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. And he will win the 2020 election. Now, if you Google Bernie Sanders and then you add in Jimmy Fallon, and then you add in the 2020 interview, you will find that exact phrase that I just told you about. Now, if that's not bad enough, there's this little gem, and it just keeps buried by the legacy media. The FBI staged the January 6th 5 months before it even happened and concealed it from the President of the United States and other prominent political figures and agencies. A memo shows the FBI conducted secret January 6 tabletop exercises in the summer of 2020, embedding 274 undercover human agents, informants, and other human sources, including rehearsing post-J6 mass prosecutions of Americans for all crimes, no matter how minor or severe. The FBI planned to use the legacy media outlets to run interference by promoting the Trump narrative, demonizing the protesters as criminals, and overlooking any involvement by the players they had put in place. This was not intelligence. It was a premeditated conspiracy by the deep state, both Democrats and Republicans. Let me be very clear. To suppress evidence of crimes committed on November the 3rd, 2020. That is the day that the United States shut down a free and fair election, made Americans leave polling stations, placed newspapers up in the windows so the American public couldn't see what was happening inside those polling stations when the election went offline. When that election went offline, Donald J. Trump was ahead in 5 of the swing states, and when that election came back online, he was losing 4 of the 5 swing states. Since that time, hundreds and thousands of illegal ballots have been found from the election, whether it was a bulk of blank ballots, the bulk of ballots filled out but not counted, or a bulk of illegals voting in the 2020 election. FBI directors Christopher Wray and James Comey, CIA directors John Brennan and James Clapper, along with Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, Vice President of the United States Mike Pence, and many other deep state actors helped devise, enact, and then cover up J6. But my question is why? I keep asking myself, why? My theory is Donald Trump was the anomaly the deep state and global elites had not planned on. In short, Donald J. Trump was not supposed to win. The deep state was deep into money laundering millions of dollars through the Ukraine war, and we all know when Trump got into office, he and Zelensky had that famously, that fight that they went on famously on television. And the reason for that is Trump was cutting off the money tap to Ukraine. Well, all of that said, here is my question to my viewers. How many times does the United States government have to lie to you, steal from you, and plan to do harm to you as an American before you and I stand up and take this country back from the liars, adulterers, thieves, warmongers, and anti-American government we live up under? These sick, twisted, vile, and evil people are covering up the world's largest pedophile ring, yet they stand in front of the camera with a King James Bible in their hands, reading scripture and promoting National Week of Prayer. Both Democrat and Republican. They are both compromised, they are both corrupt, and they are both complicit in the other side's cover-up. And the reason no one ever goes to prison is they are both covering for each other. But by all means, keep voting for a donkey or an elephant. I'm here to tell you that neither one of them give a darn about America or you as an American. I did pretty good. That was a lot of info to throw out there. Got it done in under 15 minutes. Now let's take the next 15 minutes and break this down. If you go all the way back to 1962, when John F. Kennedy shot down the planned attacks that the United States government was going to do on the United States. Let that sink in for a minute. The United States government, the FBI, the CIA, the Department of Defense, the DOJ, whatever alphabet acronym you want to pull out of your backside, they were all involved. But John F. Kennedy said, no, we are not going to be staging fake terrorist attacks and bombing our own cities such as Miami, Washington, and others. We're not going to be hijacking and shooting down passenger planes to create public outrage. And we're not going to be orchestrating fake attacks on U.S. military bases, including Guantanamo Bay Naval Base. Operation Northwoods is a real-life terrorist operation that the United States government was planning to perpetrate upon the United States of America and its citizens, which means there would have been tens of thousands that would have been killed, innocent people. Why? Politics, power, money, corruption, compromise. These are Democrats. And Democrat President John F. Kennedy said, nope, we're not here to harm the American people. And the whole time that Kennedy was trying to protect us from our own government from bombing us, shooting our airplanes out of the sky, he was questioning that other country across the water. You know, the one that's not supposed to have a nuclear arsenal? That country that's never had their nuclear arsenal inspected? That country that's got 223 nuclear warheads? He wanted their nuclear program inspected. And on top of that, he passed a executive order to bypass the Federal Reserve. He was done with it. I will not be party to this corruption. And by doing so, he was about to set off a global bomb. And what I mean by that is if he bypassed the Federal Reserve, which controls all of our debt, and all of the debt in America is linked to all of the debt in South America, China, Russia, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, it's all linked together. The global elite has all of this stuff to where they control it, right? Good stuff. No, they don't sponsor me, though I really would like for them to. Thank you. And we live in a day and time now where J6 happens. And there is credible evidence out there that the FBI staged January 6th 5 months before it even happened. And they concealed it from the people that they needed to conceal it from so that they could make it happen when it did. Now, I have a lot of people that follow me on TikTok. A lot of people follow me on YouTube, X, whatever it may be. I think a lot of them think I'm a Democrat because I have done a really good job of bashing Donald Trump. But I bashed Donald Trump over the Epstein files. I bashed Donald Trump over the Iran war. I bashed Donald Trump over this new proposed DOD Section 224 of the 2027 budget that links our military with Israel's, our defense with Israel's, our computer systems with Israel's. I've already done an episode on it. I'm not going to get into it today. That's a bad idea. But we live in a time today where Donald Trump is hated by so many people. They will not listen to truth. They will not listen to reason. They will not listen to an alternative situation as it relates to Russia, Russia, Russia. or his impeachment trial where Vladimir, oh my God, what's his name? Alexander, whatever his face is, the Vindman, the lieutenant colonel, whatever he was, that filed the complaint that led to his impeachment trial. Vindman's now running for public office in the state of Florida, down in, I think it's South Florida. And my advice to Floridians is you send that traitorous piece of crap back to his homeland. I don't care that he wore an American uniform. I don't care that he served our country. He's a traitor. But we live in a time where people cannot grasp reality. I get a lot of my news reporting from Republic World out of India, Al Jazeera, the BBC. There are a couple other foreign news agencies that I get a lot of my news coverage from, and I'm going to tell you why. The reporting that is done overseas about America's politics is done without fanfare. It's done without any biasism. It's done without any, correlation to ratings and money. If you look at a television program about Donald Trump here on Fox versus, let's just say, CNN, you're going to get two vastly different tales. And if you go listen to that same Donald Trump story from, say, Republic World or Al Jazeera, you're going to get an alternative method of storytelling. Because Fox paints things with the right, CNN paints it with the left. Let me be very clear. I think Fox probably does more accurate reporting right now than any other news agency in America, but it's still done with a tilt and a slant. CNN, which is a very highly respected news agency as I was growing up some 30, 40 years ago, has just nosedived off a cliff, and there ain't no water down there. Their ratings have plummeted. And when you think about everything that I've gone over with you today, and then you think about Operation Northwoods, you think about January 6th, you think about the 2020 election. Listen, I'm one of those people that in my 50s, as an OG as they call me, I can sit down and I can watch 50 years of history. Not one time in the American political election cycle has an election been shut down in the middle of the night. The American public was removed from the polling stations. They were told, you got to leave, get out, get out. And then they went and took newspapers and put the newspapers up all in front of the windows so the ones that they had kicked out can't stand outside and record and take their pictures. Are you kidding me? This is the United States of America. Now, if you listen to the Republicans were very hard on Donald Trump. I went back and I watched Donald Trump's Stop the Steal rally, right? He never one time told anybody to go down there and raise hell. He never one time told anybody to go down there and commit violence. He never told anybody to do anything but let's march down to that Capitol and with your voices you let it be heard that this is basic BS. The problem with Donald Trump is he is such an arrogant, foul-mouthed, egomaniac, narcissistic, pompous ass from New York City that it's easy to hate him. But he stands up and tells things the way it is, and that's what people hate him for it, and then others love him for it, right? Whether you love Donald Trump or hate Donald Trump is not even my concern. I could care less. You're looking at someone that voted for Donald Trump. I didn't vote for him or Hillary in 2016. I thought they were both pathetic. I didn't know enough about Donald Trump other than this. He was a Democrat his whole life until he came down those golden escalators on a Republican ticket to run for president. People want to call him a con man. I did an episode, or I'm going to do an episode, on Barack Obama and his con job of getting his presidential library built. Listen, they're all cons. The Bidens are cons. There's new evidence that just came out about the money laundering that's coming out of Ukraine. I've already done an episode on that. It doesn't matter if it's Democrat or Republican. They're all corrupt. They're all compromised, and they're all complicit with each other's cover-ups and compromise, because that's why nobody ever goes to jail. And 150 million Americans march down to the polls every 2 years, either in the midterms or in the general election, and they vote for a donkey and they vote for an elephant. And what you don't know is you're voting to screw yourself no matter who you vote for. Now, let me be really clear. In 2020, I voted for Trump because I absolutely have watched Joe Biden for 50 years, and there was no way in Hades I was going to vote for that man. In 2024, it was either Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. Are you kidding me? That's a no-brainer. My question is, what's going to happen when Donald Trump leaves office? Listen, when Trump was out of office, the only thing that kept the ratings going for the mainstream media, the legacy media in America, is because the Democrats for the first year or two left Donald Trump alone once he left office. They tried to crucify him with the January 6th. They tried to impeach him. It didn't work out for him. And they were like, okay, well, we've done enough damage to him. There's no way he can politically come back from this. Well, then he says, you know what? I think I'm going to give it another go. And then they turned a misdemeanor hush money payment to a porn star. It is what it is. He did it. Okay? But he's no more immoral than Bill Clinton. And y'all love him. And if you look at Donald Trump's administration and you look at Bill Clinton's administration, they're almost a mirror copy of each other. From their foreign policies to their domestic. But boy, we love to bash on Donald Trump. What I don't understand about Donald Trump is he knows everything. And once he got shot in Butler, Pennsylvania, by the kid that nobody knows his name, that was Googled 6 months before he shot Donald Trump in Israel. Somebody in Israel Googled crooks before he shot Donald Trump. You can't find that on Google anymore because they deleted it. Well, why would Google delete it? Well, where do you think Google started? Who do you think owns Google? All of your big tech and your mainstream media, your entertainment, your rock, your music, your Hollywood, your pornographic, it's all controlled by the same people. If you don't know this, then you need to educate yourself. Because once you educate yourself, you will start to look at our government much differently. They are not looking out for the best interest of us. Now, I want to go back to one thing in this where it said that the fatalities. Protester Ashley Babbitt was shot and killed by Capitol Police while attempting to breach the House chamber. 3 other protesters died from medical emergencies or stampedes during the riot. 5 police officers who responded to the attack died in the following days and months. Let me be really clear. The only person that died on J6 that I can find any record of, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, okay? I'm not above a mistake, was Ashley Babbitt, someone that has served our country and wore a uniform. A 150-pound female that was climbing through a window unarmed. There's a dozen police officers waiting for her on the other side of that window. They could have just snatched her up by the hair of her head, slung her in a corner, zip-tied her butt up like a hog, and said, you sit there and keep your mouth shut until this is over with. Problem solved. But they killed her. Does she deserve to be arrested? Sure. Does she deserve her day in court? Absolutely. Everybody runs around and they call Trump Hitler. They call the Trump administration the Gestapo. They're always bashing him about his ICE and his immigration policies and stuff. I want you to listen to this very carefully. The FBI staged January 6, 5 months before it even happened, and concealed it from the President of the United States and other prominent political figures and agencies. A memo shows the FBI conducted secret January 6 tabletop exercises in the summer of 2020, embedding 274 undercover agents, informants, and other human sources, including rehearsing post-J6 mass prosecutions of Americans for all crimes, no matter how minor or severe. The FBI planned to use the legacy media outlets to run interference by promoting the Trump narrative, demonizing the protesters as criminals, and overlooking any involvement by the players they had put in place. I want you to think about that. Donald Trump didn't do that. That was done by your government. The CIA, the FBI, Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell. Donald Trump asked for the National Guard. It was refused. I think Donald Trump is an arrogant prick. But if you go back and you watch the videos, even when he was a Democrat, because he was a Democrat his whole life until he ran for president, right? And if you go back and watch all of the videos that he's done on Oprah, Barbara, all of the talk shows back in the day, Letterman, Leno, whatever. The one thing you can never say about Donald Trump is he doesn't love this country. Has he gotten rich? Probably. He also lost money in his first term. He's more than made that up since then. His son-in-law, Jared Kushner, has gotten mega rich from the Saudis through Israel and the Better Israel Project. It's all documented. You can go look it up. Here's my problem. Stop bashing Trump. Stop bashing Obama and Biden. They're all from the same cesspool. The problem are not the politicians. The problem is the person going down there and voting. Because you're brainwashed in thinking that one side is better than the other. They're not. They're all corrupt. They're all compromised. And they are all complicit in each other's cover-up of each other's crimes, which is why nobody ever goes to jail. Had you, me, or any other everyday human being done the things that these people are doing, we'd be sitting in a federal prison for 20, 25 years. Whether it be the money laundering, the pedophilia ring that they were involved in, whether it be the stock trade, insider trading. Your government has a long history of corruption, compromise, murder, suicide, cover-ups, tax evasions, money laundering, extortion, bribery, you name it. The United States government is the largest, most powerful mafia that has ever been created. And they're all in on it. And if they're not in on it, they're turning their heads to the ones it is, and that makes you just as guilty. Whew. Episode 26 is in the books. I appreciate each and every one of you for joining us today. Remember, we are all just one diagnosis, one accident, or one unexpected call from living a much different life. I implore you, stay humble, be kind, show your love, check on your people. Until I see you on the next episode, take care.